point, the road stops feeling like a route and starts feeling like a boundary. For centuries, people believed this was not a place meant for living. This is 1864, the first year of the Genji Era. Before it was called Korakukan, this lodge was known as Meijirou. In those days, the valley roared with the sound of geysers. The locals called them oil hell and demon hell, sounds that seem to rise from the very bottom of the earth. While the era of the shogun was collapsing, the Takebushi family was just beginning their life here. Today, the 7th generation still keeps these lanterns lit. The hot water was here first. Everything else came later. In Japan, wherever hot water surfaced, people followed. Paths appeared, temporary shelters formed. At Korakukan, the inn grew around the spring because the spring was the only thing that made survival possible. These places weren't built for travel. They were built for toji. Long stays focused on healing, endurance, and survival. Korakukan began as a mountain toji lodge. Not as a ryokan, not as a destination, a place to withstand winter. The thick beams, the low ceilings, the uneven corridors. None of this was designed for beauty. It was designed to hold. This is architecture as a record of survival. A physical diary of 7 generations holding their ground against the weight of the snow. This building wasn't planned all at once. It grew in response to need, season by season, decade by decade. The lack of modernization is intentional. Korakukan is a member of the Nihon Hitou Mamoru, the association to protect Japan's secret hot springs. To wear this lantern, an inn must stay hidden and authentic. They are not just running a business, they're guiding a dying way of life. This place doesn't feel welcoming, it feels tolerated, as if the mountains allowed it reluctantly. But the most famous part of the story began with a single grandmother's kindness. In the late 1950s, Harue, the wife of the 5th generation owner, saw the macaques struggling to survive the winter. She began to feed them, not for tourism, but out of simple human empathy. The bond evolved through a guest, a sailor healing his legs in the water, who spent a month coaxing the macaques to join him. In the fall of 1961, the 6th generation owner, Kikuko, tossed an apple into the steam. A young monkey followed it in, and the world of the snow monkey officially began. That single moment of shared warmth is the fundamental core of everything Korakukan has become. They aren't guests and they aren't performers. They're simply responding to the land. This is one of the few onsen where sharing the water isn't symbolic. It's ecological. Here, the boundary between species dissolves. The monkeys aren't a spectacle. They are a part of the family history. Comfort here was never about ease. It was about making it through. In Japanese aesthetics, ma is the space between things. Here, that space teaches you how to move. When animals share your environment, you don't need rules. You learn stillness naturally. After exposure, warmth feels deeper. It doesn't entertain you, it settles you. Even as tourism reached Jigokudani in the 20th century, Korakukan changed very little. The 7th generation has chosen to keep the Wi-Fi away and the lanterns dim. Not out of nostalgia, but because reshaping this valley was never simple. The world found its place, but the place didn't rearrange itself for the world. This is omotenashi expressed through restraint, hospitality that knows when not to interfere. At night, the valley takes control again. Sound dissolves. Boundaries soften. Here you don't feel like the center of the experience, you feel like part of it. Morning comes quietly. The water keeps flowing. Most mountain toji lodges disappeared. This one remained in place, in purpose. A legacy of 7 generations, born from a spring, and a single act of kindness. Long before we arrived, and long after we leave, the valley will still be warm.